Welcome. Have you ever tried to set up a business or perhaps a personal project whose idea seemed just perfect, but at the end of the day it did not work out? Perhaps you spent a great amount of resources, time, and perhaps more specifically money on this project, a lot of effort in it, and it simply did not sell. Today we're talking about why setting goals with a purpose of a kind and generous nature is the one main principle you should always follow that will guarantee success in any endeavor you set up in life. We will start by defining what is purpose. This will be the main problem we can identify as failure in any personal business or project. Because if there is a lack of purpose, it means that the person who is trying to make this a realization is doing it out of an empty heart, and it's not feeling a calling to make it a real fulfillment. And therefore, any goal or target that is approached with an empty heart, without contempt, without motivation, is only doomed to fail. Even if it succeeds ever so slightly at first, it will require the motivation of the person with great joy, yea, even that of a child, to wake up every single day looking forward to fulfill that goal. It must have a great purpose to yourself. Now, first comes purpose, but if the person happens to have purpose and the project still fails, more likely it is that then the nature of this purpose was that of a selfish one. And we will discuss this later on this video, and it will make absolute sense by the end of it, and how generosity and kindness are the antidote for solving any decaying business or project that one may have. Purpose, as briefly stated, is any burning desire that one possesses through a dream or anything that comes in the form of a want in your heart, and it is displayed into your mind. For those who are not familiarized with this is what we call a body and the mind diagram. This is your body, and this is your mind, which is composed of a conscious mind and subconscious mind. Now, in your heart, and as an actual fact, did you know that the heart produces its own electrical charge independent from the body? If you do not believe these words, I encourage you to search on the net. You will find this information promptly. The heart is a great indicator of what we want in life. It is the source of our desires, and our desires are projected into our conscious mind. As we identify this feeling, it feels like your heart is spinning on its own, you feel energized. You feel like something is going on. When you think about an idea that makes you so happy as a child that you do not stop thinking about it. That is, if you do not suppress it. Because many people have learned to suppress their higher faculty of imagination, but that will be explained in a different video. So the heart will send into your conscious mind a want, which you have the option, as it is your conscious mind, it has the only one task of thinking, filtering. The conscious mind allows things to go into your subconscious, and your subconscious will tell your body what to do, something positive or something negative, and at the end you will get positive or negative results. If you discard your want, it will simply disappear from the physical realm. It does not come to fruition. But if you take it, you think about it non-stop every single day, it starts circulating on your subconscious mind. And slowly, through tiny actions, this want will be sent down into your body, as I said, in the small actions of small increments that will give a result towards the realization of that purpose. That can be something as simple as starting to read a book that has everything to do with the achievement of that purpose. Reaching out to the relevant people that you need in order to achieve that purpose. Perhaps it is getting up early or having a specific diet because you need to have good health in order to achieve that purpose. Whatever that is, it starts all through small increments and eventually it leads to larger ones. This ends up in a desire, which keeps on building until you start aiming or reaching for your purpose. Now, we move into the next section of this, which is the nature of kindness and generosity. And why is that important? Something that is kind and generous. Later on, I will also describe some stories and examples on how people have used this in order to create great wealth. But as a principle, in life, if you are to obtain anything that will bring you any form of satisfaction, it must be clear that there's never something such as getting without giving. Everything is reciprocal. It is a balanced equation. You will end up giving sooner or later in the form of requesting a service, or as simple as paying money for the achievement of that service that may lead to your purpose. But more often, if this purpose comes in the form of a service that serves people, something magical starts happening. You start becoming inspired by helping others, by giving to others, by being generous into truly making them happy, by being kind. What does this have to do with the whole problem? That is that if we have a purpose, but this purpose is selfish, our mind is focusing on a negative orientation that aims inward, it's trying to get everything to itself instead of aiming to give. It's not bountiful, it's needy. And everything that is needy is rather soon abandoned. No one likes it. And it will be seen as parasitic as well. And this will start to consume you through your thoughts. It will start going into your system, forming what we call a paradigm. This is your software, your patterns, your behavioral patterns, we could say, that keep on making you having a negative result, which will not lead to the correct fulfillment of your goal. Maybe you have the purpose, but the goal does not come to fruition. It has to pass both of these ones. Kind and generous. If it is kind and generous, it is very likely that you will achieve your goal. Think of this for a moment. If you create something that energizes you in the first place, that makes you enjoy life, not by its achievement, but by its process or constant process, the journey, we could say. And it is something that gives others as well. It can be in the form of rendering a service, as I mentioned before, or some other form that is kind and generous towards many others than just yourself. Then that only sounds like a win-win. They win, I win. And as a sub-product, you earn wealth. First, you earn happiness, you earn health and wealth as a subproduct of your positive attitude for chasing something out of this nature. Now I would like to give you a couple of examples, and some of these ones may be foreign to you. You may not know these characters, but for sure you do know one particular story I will share. I would like to start with Mr. Andrew Carnegie, which in the past century he had led revolution on the industrialization of steel, or rather the steel industry. He was a Scotsman that migrated from Scotland towards the United States quite at a young age. He traveled alone and he did not have anything really, little knowledge and no money whatsoever. And out of the blank, he managed to put himself out in the world and create one of the most powerful empires there has ever been. Upon his death, he was known to have a card that he would read now and then, and they found it on his drawer. And upon inspection, on that card it read, "In the first half of my life I will accumulate riches, and in the second half of my life I will give it all away." Mr. Andrew Carnegie made more than $400 million. And as he promised, he gave it all away during his second half. But something interesting happened. he could not give it all away, because he became so wealthy that as a subproduct he was earning more than he could ever spend out of having a goal from a purpose that was kind and generous. Same example goes for Mr. Bob Proctor, which is a figure I had cited before, and I will cite as well eventually in other videos. Mr. Bob Proctor spent more than 60 years trying to learn and understand everything that relates into how the body and the mind operates in terms we can understand in many different ways of life, especially when it comes about economy. You can create your own economy, as he will say. And Mr. Bob Proctor has both evidence and a very interesting story. Just as his evidence shows, his company made millions of dollars and became a company that would operate all around the world by doing one single thing: teaching this out of the desire or the nature of its the nature of its purpose was to give others knowledge that would help them out throughout life. Knowledge that would help them out throughout life. Similarly, we can talk about Mr. Earl Nightingale, a popular radio speaker who dedicated his life to try to find the formula for success, which he did. And he started to create his own philosophy around it to teach people how to benefit out of these laws. He requested, just like Bob Proctor did as well, and maybe also Mr. Carnegie, the achievement of a goal to get specific resources, and in return they will perform something that would render service in the form of being kind and generous towards others. It was not selfish. They did not want it for themselves. They knew with whole confidence that wealth will be a subproduct out of their generosity and kindness and their efforts. Lastly, I would like to also mention Mr. Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich, who has helped millions of people. Most of this knowledge I'm teaching here, showing it to you really because I am just a humble ambassador of his knowledge and the knowledge of Bob Proctor, Mr. Andrew Carnegie and others, as well as Earl Nightingale, was something I learned from his book. And similarly, he had the idea, or his goal was that which possessed purpose of kind and generous nature. He wanted to teach this to people so that they may think and grow rich. Now lastly, I would like to tell you briefly of a story from a product that you are well familiarized. And this was a young man who had little money, but he had received an image, a vision, that he would create a great empire, a great fortune out of a service that he will provide to millions on end. He did not know how, and this information was given unto him, but what we know as infinite intelligence. This is described in another video as well. This man set foot to find the opportunity he was looking for, and throughout his senses and observing the world by a want on his heart, something manifested, we could say, and he met a pharmacist who was selling his formula for a medicine that did not give him what it had promised. He had invested much in it, much time and effort, and the medicine was not selling. This man wanted to become rich out of it, and because it just kept on failing, he became wretched and he wanted to get rid of it. And the young man approached him, and with a light heart and joy, he proposed to buy the recipe. The man laughed at him and sold it to him for a couple of $100, which was all of his savings. And he said, "Good luck with it. That serves no purpose." And so this man, through the use of his creative imagination, combined many different substances, creating a dark but mysterious looking drink, sweet and effervescent on its taste or on its feeling, which you may be very well acquainted as Coca-Cola. And this man knew that he could provide a service to millions of people through a drink that would be very pleasurable. Think of something that you are very good at, and through the use of your higher faculty of imagination, try to create an idea or receive an idea from something you are good at and that you like. Along with how could it render a service that is of a kind and generous nature or purpose for everyone else as well. Could you think of something that you would love doing truly and that you think it could benefit others in life? Do not think about the wealth it's going to give you, because that is selfish. You must, with your heart and content, think about doing this, even if it was willingly free, but out of rendering a service for the good and benefit of everyone else. Have you ever noticed how many successful people seem to do what they do with great joy and without much trouble? They seem to be in a relaxed state. And this is because, for the most part, they really enjoy doing what they do. They render a service to people because they're confident that people like what they do, and they don't have to stress themselves about what kind of wealth it will bring them. When you think about the result, you only attract negative things. You're jumping this, you're jumping everyone else. You're not thinking about them, you're thinking of them as an object. You must understand that we live in a great community of many individuals like you and I, and we all feel things. We all want to be taken into consideration. And people will pick it up. Sooner or later, they will realize if your intentions are true or not really genuine. This is a great exercise because it will help you developing also your faculty of imagination. And I am certain that if you are to sit on a dark room and spend at least 30 minutes in complete silence, making sure you have a pen and a notebook to write on, of course have some light handy in case you come up with an idea, or maybe try recording with your phone the sound of your voice. You will rather rapidly come up with many different ideas on how to combine these two things with that. And I would like to ask you then, what is stopping you from doing this? What is stopping you from doing what you truly love in life with great joy? There is absolutely nothing stopping you. Only you, yourself. And you will say, very well, but how do I get the resources for that? Do I have to repeat myself with a story about Andrew Carnegie? Or perhaps you may search about that of Henry Ford or many other relevant figures which did not have much, but they just had great creativity, great imagination. They burned all kinds of bridges to ensure they would achieve their goal, but making sure that along the way they will help others too. Somehow, they did not struggle thinking about the process on how to get there. They only focused about being there. They actually will think of themselves as already being there. And it felt like life will drive them on its own terms. And they would have to tackle the obstacles as they would come. You cannot guess how life will come at once. You have to experience it. And you have to deal with these challenges on the go. On the go. And if you find a passion, think about it. Why not giving it a try? And if you have confidence within yourself, I am almost certain that wealth will be a subproduct that will come along with it. There is always a possibility for everything on its achievement, and many men have proved this right. Lastly, I would like to briefly tie all of this concept into what I call the currency of infinite intelligence, which is described as well in the video about infinite intelligence you may find in the channel. All of this is what we call currency. Here it's a more in-depth explanation of the subject, especially for those who had seen the previous video but wanted to learn more about this, as it was described just briefly. And those who do not know what infinite intelligence is, we could briefly say it's what has provided many men with the ideas to develop from imagination into a physical realm, those thoughts that find or exist all around us, such as the exercise of sitting in the dark with silence, allows you to become more receptive to these thoughts. And for those who would like a more simple explanation, we could say it is everything that exists in your database, in your subconscious mind. And when you're sitting in the dark, you're simply going through all kinds of thoughts and memories to combine these ideas when your mind is focused on the attainment of a purpose. Yet I strongly believe there's more than that. And infinite intelligence is energy that exists all around us in the form of ideas that we receive and only us possess one at a time, and no one else ever does simultaneously. And with this I conclude this video. I hope that you found this information useful and that it can give you warmth in your hearts as well, and that you may strive to do any kind of goals in life with kindness and generosity. Become like the sun that always gives without demanding, because this is definitely not all about money, business. This can be applied in all sorts of ways in life. You may think about it even for romantic relationships, but you must understand how to apply it correctly without putting yourself in some sort of abuse. That's why we have a higher faculty of reasoning, and we have the capacity of thinking and filtering what's negative from what is positive. You may also find a video where we discuss paradigms in self-abandonment. There is a whole full description of this on that video. Thank you for your time, and thank you so much for watching. Be on well.